Alrighty, folks, I am here with Isaiah Robinson. He is fighting in his debut professional MMA bout coming up this Friday, June 7th in Omaha, Nebraska for Dynasty Combat Sports. He's going to be fighting someone who he is very familiar with on the amateur scene. They fought quite a couple of years back as amateurs. And now he's going to get the chance to rematch and avenge a loss. So Isaiah is here. He's starting 0-0, undefeated, of course, in his pro career. Isaiah, how you doing today, man? How do you feel? Are you excited for your fight?
Not too bad, man. I'm feeling great. Really excited. I mean, it's been 6 months since my last fight, so you get the jitters, ready to get back in there. Been training hard. It's going to be worth it, man.
Right. Yes. And so, interestingly enough, you're fighting a guy who's got quite a bit more pro experience than you. I believe he's got, 4 or 5 pro fights now?
Three?
Okay, yeah, something like that.
Yep.
But you guys have fought as amateurs. And here you are making your pro debut against a guy who beat you as an amateur, a much different version of you. You're still a young guy. You're only, 22 years old?
22.
Yep. So you're still young enough that you're developing. So the you that fought him when you were like 20 isn't the same you as you are now. However, it's interesting because now you have that dynamic added to the matchup. What does that add to you or for you to this matchup, having that prior loss to him as an amateur?
Well, as we have a lot of tape. I mean, we went all 3 rounds, so I can definitely tell the difference in my style. I mean, I'm a lot more technical. Obviously, I've been wrestling for those 2 years, so my ground game has improved a lot. You just watch my last fight, see that. Man. I think he's going to be surprised. It's going to be a lot harder to take me down. Scrambling is going to be a lot harder. My clinch game is awesome, so I love those knees and elbows. So I'm prepared for anything he throws at me.
That's what we'd like to hear. Because, for those that haven't seen it, which, I mean, it was a regional amateur fight, so I imagine most people watching have not seen it. For those who have not, the fight went kind of like a wet blanket. So wasn't the most exciting fight in the world. Isaiah was stuck on the bottom. But Isaiah is quite the striker.
Trying to punch off my back.
You're trying to punch off his back, which is not what you want to do in an MMA fight. I've given him a hard time for that. I've known Isaiah for a few years now. So I've given him some hard times over this, but he's improved a lot. I'm looking forward to seeing him get out there and get that win in his debut fight. Now, you fought for the promotion you're fighting for coming up this Friday quite a few times, Dynasty Combat Sports. They're based out here in Omaha as their primary place. In fighting for them, was it something that kind of making the transition to pro, you said, oh, I want to fight for them specifically, or was it just because they're around, they offered you this fight and said, here we go? Or were you kind of, I want to make my pro debut in the same place I was the amateur champion? Like, what kind of led into that?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of all that, it's the close. I mean, the arena is literally like 5 minutes away from my house.
That helps.
I love Dynasty. They've treated me well. Obviously had multiple fights with them. I was the former welterweight champion. So it just felt right to make my pro debut for them.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. And so what got you into martial? I mean, you're still a young guy. Like I said, you're only 22. What got you into martial arts originally? How old were you when you started that? And then kind of what led you to go from from what got you into martial arts into fighting in a cage? What kind of led you down that path?
Well, I was always in some sort of sport, whether it was football or baseball. I was always active, always in shape. And watching the UFC fights with my dad and uncle was part of my childhood forever. But the fight that really got me into MMA was terrible with names. Luke Rockhold and Michael Bisping won.
Okay.
That's the one. Yeah. The lead up to that was so entertaining. Then actually watching that fight, man. So I started watching a lot of Luke Rockhold. That's where I got my question mark kick from. Trying to mimic that. What really wanted to get into kickboxing, but obviously we don't have a lot of kickboxing here in Nebraska. So
not very much.
I was like, all right, there's MMA fights every month, so might as well hop on a card.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that because you are much more of a striker at your natural tendencies. It makes sense. That's kind of what you like to go to. It wasn't until just recently that you really started to dive into that wrestling and grappling aspect of martial arts, which is good for MMA, because if you don't have that, you kind of just get smothered, which is why you're not going to this time, which is great. But so you started with like kickboxing as kind of your base. At what age did you start doing kickboxing?
17.
17. Okay.
And then around then is when I met Tim Baser, and we started our MMA training. Okay.
So that's where you started, was over at Tim's gym.
Yep.
Okay. So you started right here in Omaha over at Evolve MMA.
Yep.
Great place to get your start. I mean, back then, let's see, when you're 17, so that would have been 5 years ago. So that would have been at the old Viking shipbuilding, yeah?
Actually, that was right after that. We were training out of a garage for my first for my first fight ever. So as soon as I turned 18, Tim put me on a card. And for those 3 months prior, we were training out of Johnny's garage, Johnny Torres, the silent Latino, man. We were training out of Johnny's garage for 3 months, man, getting in shape.
So you hear that, folks? You can start anywhere. Isaiah got his debut amateur fighting out of a garage, which is not something you usually want to recommend to people. But it worked out for you, because I believe you won that amateur debut and pretty impressively.
Question mark TKO.
That's right. There you go. Which is hilarious that's like went from training in a garage to like knocking people out with a kick, like question mark kick. Like that's just absurd to me. But hey, it worked for you. And then you fought as an amateur. Continuing on, you since moved on to other gyms. You still do train with those same guys, but you've also expanded your horizons. You work out at a handful of different places here. You got a few different coaches. What's something that really just kind of clicked and helped you develop your game to what it is now? When did you find like, okay, this is what I need to do that's really going to start bringing my MMA career forward, rather than just kind of like fighting at garages and stuff?
Well, being completely honest, it was after the MIA fight. You know, so realizing like, damn, I need to, find a place with a lot of good wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys. So, I leading up to that fight, I think I joined Premier Combat Center a few months before that fight, or maybe like a half year before that fight, and I was training out of that gym and working with Derek Minner and people like Brady, his brother, and all these other guys. I was like, all right, feeling good. This fight happens, I'm still fighting like a kickboxer. I just want to go in there. I've been knocking people out. I just want to rush in there and hit them with a big punch and just call it a day. But it's MMA, so that was a rude awakening for me. So after that, I was like, all right, fuck it. I guess I'll wrestle. I wasn't a big fan of it, but now I love it. It's probably the best workout you can do is wrestling.
So what you can say is we're probably going to see Isaiah Nurmagomedov coming up this Friday.
I don't know. I mean, I might shoot a takedown or two. Jump Gilly like dusted a couple times.
That'd be hilarious. That would be hilarious. Okay, so let me run this by you. So you get let's say you get the win this Friday, right? You got your win. You want to know, as a professional MMA fighter, where do you want to take this? Is this something you want to look to as a career long term? Is this a hobby for you? Where do you see yourself in the world of mixed martial arts, say 3, 4, 5 years from now?
Yeah, obviously it's to make it to those top promotions, whether it's, UFC, PFL, one championship. I'll travel. Where they out of Singapore? That would be awesome. Obviously getting paid to beat people up is fun. But really, after all that's said and done, having some experience, working at your gym, training kickboxing, and then teaching some of these young amateur guys, some stand-up tricks and all this and that. I want to be a coach. I want to be a kickboxing coach after everything's all said and done. So I'm having a little experience in that, and that's something I'm looking forward to.
There you go. So have your fight career, go into coaching afterwards, and kind of see where that takes you. That's awesome. Okay, so what can people expect going forward from you, as far as what are you going to bring to a fight that people are going to want to tune in for? What's going to make people say, oh, Isaiah Robinson is a guy that I want to watch fight. He's a guy that I want to tune in for, and he's a guy that I want to see in the UFC. What can you bring to the table for that?
Well, I'm always looking for an exciting fight, and working with Derek, me and Derek have been doing a lot of one-on-one stuff. And then obviously Tim Baser, he's always been in my corner. So me and him have been doing a lot of one-on-one stuff as well. I always try to be an exciting fighter, and I want to put on the best fights. Win, lose, or draw, I want to just be an exciting fighter, But Tim is like, dude, you got to stop going in there trying to knock people out. You got to fight smart. So my past 3 fights, you see it, I'm on a 3-fight winning streak. I've been just trying to be super technical, not going to fucking brawls and, just doing what I'm good at. Staying on the outside, kicking the legs, jabbing, looking for the combinations, and then, the knockout will be there.
And that's shown. That is definitely shown. You've looked very crisp in your last handful of fights. People have had a really hard time getting you to the mat. It's looked great. That is exactly what we want to hear. Where can people watch this? Can they watch this online? Is there a link to stream this event?
Yeah, you can go on Fight TV and just type in Dynasty Combat Sports and you'll see it June 7th.
Perfect. I'll drop a link in the description of this video for everybody so they can check this out. In addition to that, I'm going to make sure that everybody can find Isaiah's Instagram in the description of this video, so make sure you check that out. A couple of closing parts here for Isaiah. Rapid fire questions. All right. First one. You get the big contract, right? Do you want to go Contender Series or Tough? Take your pick.
Ooh, that is a tough one. I like the Contender Series a lot, but I think I would go with Tough just because, it's those guys get some good training in. I mean, they train at the PI for months during that, and you get to, some of the best fighters are your coaches for however long they're doing that show. So I'd like to do the Tough.
Like to go the Tough route. Okay. So you make it to the UFC. You're already there. Okay. They give you the option. All right. You're going to be fighting at welterweight this week. I know you're looking at that lightweight down the road. You get to the UFC and they say, hey, Isaiah, we've got an opening for you at lightweight. We got an opening for you at welterweight. Where do you want to find yourself?
I'd do lightweight.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like after this fight, I think I'm going to really focus on just making that my new home, my new weight class.
So you're saying that Islam's got a new contender coming for him.
Shit.
I'm just saying. Okay, that's awesome. Okay, and then one more question. Okay, so you get to the UFC. You're running for the title, all right? They hit you with this. You can take the big money fight. You can take all the riches, or you can take the title shot. You can get the glory. Is it the wealth? Is it the glory? What do you choose?
I'll do the belt.
There you go.
Hey, money's all good and well, but you're not taking that with you when you die. So, who are they going to remember? You some rich asshole or a guy who fought his ass off?
That's true. That's true. You go down in the history books as champ, not the guy that made a few bucks. I love it. Well, Isaiah, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. I know I'll be looking forward to watching your fight this Friday. I've already got front row seats to this, so that'll be a good time. Got everything in the description of this video. Is there anything you want me to post down there? Or is there anything else you want to shout out to the people watching outside of the link to the fight and outside of your Instagram? What do you have in mind that you think people would want to see?
Well, I just want to thank my coaches, Tim Baser, Derek Minner, Jose Campos, Ryan Jensen. Love those guys. We've been working very hard. I'm going to put on a show, June 7th. I'm handing out sandwiches. Sandwiches.
I was like, what? It's like they got them before the event giving out sandwiches?
No, I'm giving out knuckle sandwiches. But no, that's really it, man. Just stay tuned June 7th. There's a lot of great fights on that card. I mean, we got like 8 guys from Premier fighting on that card. Obviously, the best talent in Nebraska is fighting on that card. So tune in.
That's awesome. All right, folks. Well, you heard it here. Isaiah's got sandwiches June 7th. Come check it out, and we will see you all there.